Hello everyone, how's it going? Billy Ballgame here, the YouTuber formerly known as STL Puckhead. So today is my first video as Billy Ballgame, addressing it as such on my channel. I meant to get a video out yesterday about that collection that I had mentioned before that I bought off of Dan, Yaz Fan, one of my subscribers on my YouTube channel. I meant to get the video out yesterday, but I was going through all the cards and sorting everything, and it took a lot longer than I anticipated. So by the time I got done, I didn't feel like doing a video. So I apologize. I'm a few days late. But I've been sorting a lot of cards here lately. So I got all the cards sorted from the basement collection. You can probably see a big chunk of them here behind me. They're all in top loaders and all that stuff. The ones I'm going to consider for grading are in card savers. I'm going to review those and decide which ones I want to send out for grading at some point. Now that SGC lowered their grading cost to $15, and I know this is old news, but needless to say, I'm pretty excited about that. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to flip this camera around and show you the Hall of Famers that are in this collection that I bought from Dan. And there are a lot. Like I've mentioned in previous videos, there were two partial sets of 1971 tops. There was a partial set of 1972 tops, a partial set of 73 tops. And then there were some just kind of random Stars and Hall of Famer cards thrown in with it. So I'm going to go ahead and flip this around and show you the cards. All right, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to show you the random Star and Hall of Famer cards that came with this purchase. So to start out, I have a couple Pete Roses here. I have a 1966 Pete Rose. This one's in pretty good condition. I haven't really examined it to get an idea of what it would grade, but initially my guess would be in the probably 4, 5, 6 range, somewhere around there. Pretty sharp card overall. And then I have a 69 Pete Rose. Now this one has some issues down here in this corner, I believe it is, and it doesn't look like it's showing up very well on video. But yeah, this is a cool card. This was kind of a pleasant surprise in this purchase. And then here's a 66 Tony Conigliaro. Not a super valuable card, but he had a really good start to his career until he suffered his unfortunate eye injury that kind of derailed his career. But he was a good player. It's unfortunate. And then here we have a 65 Billy Williams. It's off center, left to right, but overall it's a pretty sharp card. I don't have a lot of these 65s, and I really like these. I would be hard pressed to pick which design I liked better, the 65 or the 60 tops. So I really like both of those, and look forward to adding more 65s to my collection. And then here we have a couple 70 tops. Here's the Willie McCovey. Pretty clean overall. Some of the corners are a little rough, but overall it's in pretty decent shape. Pretty clean card. So there's that. And then the last one out of the random group of cards is a Lou Brock. This one appears to be in better condition than the McCovey. I'd probably, at first impression, put this in the 6 or 7 range. And I may review this later to determine if I want to get it graded or not. So once I have an allowance again, after I finish paying back for all these cards that I've bought, I'm probably just going to spend the next several months getting some of my older vintage cards graded and the cards that came from the basement collection. So I'll probably be sending a whole lot of money to SGC. So as you can guess, with 2 partial sets of 71 Topps, these are the most cards that I have of Hall of Famers. There are quite a few of them here. Some of them are rough and have creases and stuff and would probably grade in the 2 or 3 range. There's a Bob Gibson. Really like that card. And then some of them would probably grade in the 5 or 6 range. I don't know if there are any 7s in here, but some of them are pretty sharp cards. There's Brooks. That one's pretty drastically off center to the right. You can see it's almost miscut. But a lot of these I didn't have. So at this point, I'm just happy to have them in the collection. And then some of the ones that end up being lower grade, I might upgrade at some point. Once I get done with the rest of the 60s cards that I want. That's kind of how I've got my collection broken down. I'm going to mostly chase after the 60 cards from the 60s that I want, then expand into the 70s and then the 80s, focus primarily on rookie cards, and then I'll probably go back to the 60s, start working on Hall of Famers, and then work my way forward again. So at some point, some of these may be upgrade candidates when I get into buying graded cards from the 70s. So that was Fergie. Here's Johnny Bench. This one, other than the centering, is pretty sharp. Dan has a bunch more cards that he has sent me pictures of that I may buy off of him at some point. But as much money as I've spent this month, I figured it was probably a good idea for me to take a little break and pay myself back before I started buying a bunch more stuff. But here's a 71 Ted Williams. I have another one of these that are coming up. And then here's a McCovey. I have one of these graded in an SGC 6 that I got off of Chris a while ago. And I don't know if I'll ever actually complete these sets or not. I have a lot of sets and I like sets, but with as much time and effort and money as I put into this 60 set, I don't know if I want to start finishing sets after I'm done with this one. Just again, it's a big commitment. And I would rather, I think at this point, just go after individual cards that I really want to add to my collection. So there's Bert Blyleven's rookie card. This one, the thing about these cards is, as you guys know, with these black borders, everything shows up. And it can be pretty deceptive on, what condition these cards are actually in, because every bit of white shows. So if this wasn't a black bordered card, I would think it would probably be a 5, but it's really hard to tell. So here's Catfish. And then here's another McCovey. Steve Carlton. American League batting leaders with Yastrzemski and Tony Oliva. 70 National League batting leaders with Joe Torre is the main name there. Rico Carty was a pretty good player for a while, and so was Manny Sanguillen, but Torre's the Hall of Famer. And then we have the National League RBI leaders with Johnny Bench, Tony Perez, and Billy Williams. So 3 Hall of Famers on this card. The next stack here is American League home run leaders with Harmon Killebrew, Carl Yastrzemski. Frank Howard was also a good player, his rookie card in 1960. Here's the National League home run leaders, Johnny Bench, Billy Williams, Tony Perez. So another card with 3 Hall of Famers on it. American League ERA leaders, Jim Palmer, the big draw there. National League ERA leaders, we have Tom Seaver as the lone Hall of Famer on this card. National League pitching leaders with a trifecta of Hall of Famers there. Hoot, Bob Gibson, Gaylord Perry, and Fergie Jenkins. It's a cool card. National League strikeout leaders. So this one overall is pretty clean, but it looks like it's got, I think, mold or something up here on the top corner that I may see if I could figure out how to remove. But other than that, it's a pretty cool, pretty sharp card. Again, 3 Hall of Famers: Tom Seaver, Bob Gibson, Fergie Jenkins. Here's Bob Lemon, Hall of Fame manager, I believe. Bill Mazeroski. Shout out to Clemente Collector and his Pirates. Cardinal Hall of Famer Ted Williams. I have one of these already that I may compare the two and see which one's better, keep one and sell the other one. But initially it looks like this one's a little better than the one I already have. Here's Gaylord Perry, Tom Seaver. Pretty rough, this one. Rounded corner at the bottom. But again, I'm just happy to have these cards. The 70s cards I don't have a lot of. Al Kaline. This one, as you can see, there's a crease right across the middle of the card. Gil Hodges, recent Hall of Famer. Jim Palmer, AL Playoffs Game 3. Ron Santo. Pops, Willie Stargell. Red Schoendienst as a manager for the Cardinals. He had spent about 50 or 60 years for the better part of 50, 60 years of his life with the Cardinals organization. One of the all-time great Cardinals, Red Schoendienst. Here's Jim Cott, another recent Hall of Fame inductee. Hoyt Wilhelm, the knuckleballer. Joe Morgan. Really cool action shot. Interesting angle on a baseball card you don't see too often. Fergie. Recent inductee Tony Oliva. Juan Marichal. Here's a few more playoff cards. This is World Series Game 3 with Frank Robinson. Showing some muscle. This card I had when I was in high school once upon a time, and it looked like Brooks Robinson was in the middle of a desert somewhere with no green or anything around, just nothing but a huge, vast expanse of dirt. I always thought that was a cool card. Here's Billy Williams. Don Sutton. Joe Torre. In high school, I had his rookie card. 62 Topps was one of the first vintage cards I ever owned. I want to get that back in a graded version one of these days. Here's the other Ted Williams. Another Raleigh Fingers. This one is sharp other than the centering. Overall, the corners on this one are pretty sharp. Little bit of issue on the bottom right. Hank Aaron. This one's a little bit rough, but again, I don't have very many Hank Aaron cards, so I'm happy to have it. Hall of Fame manager Earl Weaver. Jim Bunning. This is a high number. I believe after number 526 or something like that's where the high numbers start. That one's 574. And then here's our Orlando Cepeda. Another high number. 605. And then the last one for this stack is another Catfish Hunter. I think there were two of those in here. All right, one more little stack of the 71s, and then I'm done with those. So 70 batting leaders, we've got Yastrzemski and Tony Oliva. National League RBI leaders, Johnny Bench, Tony Perez, Billy Williams. I think some of these are doubles. NL home run leaders, another same 3 Hall of Famers on that card. Yeah, I remember showing this one, so this one's a dupe. ERA leaders. Another strikeout leaders. Another Tony Oliva. Another Brooks in the Sahara Desert. And another Brooks in the desert. Another Gil Hodges. Another Jim Palmer. Another Ron Santo. And here's a Jim Cott that looks like it got ran over by a car. Another Joe Torre. And another Raleigh Fingers. All right, so that's it for the 71s. There aren't quite as many 72s, but there's still a pretty decent number. So I'll start out with Reggie. The 72s overall are in a little bit better condition than the 71s. At least it looks like it because they don't show wear as much. Tom Seaver. 2 red Shane Deans. And then with these, there are some other stars, star cards that I have pulled aside that aren't Hall of Famers. I'm just going to focus on the Hall of Famers for this video. But I have a J.R. Richard rookie card, a few more Pete Roses. I think there's a 71 and a 72 Pete Rose. There's a George Foster rookie card, Bobby Grich rookie card, which I believe is, I think that's in 71. So there's some other pretty decent cards in this lot. So batting leaders, Joe Torre. American League batting leaders with Tony Oliva. AL RBI leaders with Killebrew, Robinson, and Reggie Smith. Reggie Smith was a pretty good player, not a Hall of Famer, but a good player. Here's Bob Gibson. I had this card when I was in high school too. Ted Simmons. Orlando Cepeda. Here's the World Series champs. Or I'm sorry, the AL champs of the Orioles. I believe the Pirates won the World Series this year. Yeah, there we go. Bucks champs. I believe this is Clemente right here in the outfield. Backing up the play there. World Series Game 2. There's Brooks Robinson making a play. World Series Game 4 with Clemente leading off of probably second base, it looks like. Very cool card there. And then another one. And then Series Celebration, Top of the World. The World Series win celebration by the Pirates. Here's another one. Here's Gaylord Perry. I'm probably about 20 minutes into this video, so I'm going to try to speed it up so it's not an hour long. There's Earl Weaver. Catfish Hunter. There's a young Willie Stargell, a young Tom Seaver, and a young Brooks Robinson, baby Brook. Here's 2 Bert Blylevens, Bert B. Home by 11, according to Chris Berman in the days of ESPN. I think Lou Rock made a mention of that in one of his most recent videos. Shout out to Lou Rock. Here's Jim Cott. Joe Morgan traded. AL home run leaders with Norm Cash, not a Hall of Famer, and Reggie Jackson. Norm Cash was a good player for a while. National League ERA leaders with Tom Seaver. American League ERA leaders with Jim Palmer and Vida Blue. Vida Blue, not a Hall of Famer. Maybe he will be one day. And here's AL home run leaders again with Norm Cash and Reggie Jackson. I started calling him Reggie Johnson. All right, last stack of 72s. Here's the Pirates World Champion Celebration card. Team card. Very, very cool. AL or NL strikeout leaders with Ferguson Jenkins and Tom Seaver. NL home run leaders with Willie Stargell and Hank Aaron. NL pitching leaders with Fergie, Steve Carlton, and Tom Seaver. So a trifecta of Hall of Famers there. Rod Carew. Joe Morgan. Tony Perez. NL RBI leaders with Joe Torre, Willie Stargell, and Hank Aaron. So another trifecta of Hall of Famers with Joe Torre being in as a manager. Was a really good player, though. Willie Stargell. Willie Stargell in action. 2 Rollie Fingers. Before the mustache. Al Kaline. Harmon Killebrew. 2 Killebrew in actions. Very cool. Here is a Johnny Bench in action. Reggie Jackson in action. NL home run leaders, Willie Stargell, Hank Aaron. Here are 2 Carl Yastrzemski in actions. I'm becoming more and more of a Carl Yastrzemski fan, with him being a left-handed hitter. There's his regular card, Carl Yastrzemski. Luis Aparicio. Trying to keep the glare off the card. Sorry if I'm not doing a good job of that. There's Killebrew and Robinson, AL RBI leaders. Here's NL strikeout leaders with Fergie and Tom Seaver. And here's Johnny Bench. So that'll do it for the 72s. Oh, here's the 71 Pete Rose. I'll go ahead and show that. And then here is his 72. Little fuzzy bottom corners, but All right, so on to 73s, and then that'll do the video. That'll be the end of it. So 73 Jim Kaat. That's a picture you'll never see anymore. A pitcher leaving the I can't even think, home plate, leaving the batter's box. There we go. Holy cow, it's been a long week. Here's boyhood photos of the stars. So a young Jim Catfish Hunter. Here's Billy Williams. Don Sutton. A very, very miscut Carl Yastrzemski. Great quality control tops. Good job. Ron Santo. Yogi Berra as a Mets manager. All-time victory leader Cy Young. Pretty substantial crease going across it. All-time hits leader Ty Cobb. Orlando Cepeda with, I believe, his third team out of all these cards that I've shown so far. Whitey Herzog with the Rangers, pre-Whitey Ball Cardinals era. Willie McCovey. Johnny Bench. Raleigh Fingers. Mustache is popping out there. Steve Carlton. Strikeout leaders with Carlton and Nolan Ryan. Here's Brooks. Here's home run leaders, Johnny Bench and Dick Allen. There's Tom Seaver. And then I have a 73 Pete Rose. So I apologize for throwing an almost 30-minute video at you, but these are a lot of cards that I picked up in this collection. Thank you once again, Dan. Hopefully we can get together at some point on the rest of those cards from the 70s that you sent to me. I'd like to pick those up at some point. And I appreciate you passing all these from your collection off into mine. And they have found a good home. So to everyone else, thanks for watching the video. I hope you stuck around to the end. Again, my apologies. This is a long one. And that'll wrap it up. So I hope everybody has a good one. And until the next one, I will talk to you later.